there's some danger of tripping there if we're not careful. So I actually like the idea that's the message being sent. I know Jimbo's going to give that message, but I think that's the message. The more it's out there from other voices, I think the better to say, hey, those Aggies, they could lose this game, because you want your guys to always go in thinking, that they have to play well to win.
What I want to see is how that offensive line reacts this week, because last week they played great, right? Blake Traynor came in there, did a wonderful job. Zach was clean for the most part, and he had time to throw. Yes, they put him on the move a little bit, but I want to see how they respond, because for 6 weeks of this season, I still have not figured out who the real A&M football team is, because we started thinking maybe they're not that good. But what they did last week opens up a brand new door of how good they can be with Zach Calzada as your starting quarterback the rest of the way. And I'm curious to see, against a team that has done so poorly stopping the run, if A&M cannot put up 300 yards of rushing. That's what I expect and want to see.
Well, I think that will be the the game plan. I asked Jimbo Fisher. I know it sounded like an obvious answer, or maybe a stupid question because it's so obvious, but how much do you look at the other team's statistics in formulating your game plan? Because, he always says, well, it's about us. We got to do what, we got to fix us. We have nameless opponents, but we got to do that. But how do you not look at the stats and see that Missouri is last in the nation against the run, and see some of the teams that have just put up just eye-popping numbers against that defense, and say, okay, what we have to do is we have to go in and run the football. Sometimes coaches get away from that. I don't think Jimbo will. I can remember back in the day when I was living in Austin, Nebraska had one of the worst run defenses in the country. They were like in the bottom 10.
Right.
And I was covering Texas at the time, and they come out and they're throwing the ball all over the place. They get into the fourth quarter, and they're behind. So in the fourth quarter, they started running, ran for like 200 yards in the fourth quarter alone, and win the game. I said, well, where was that before? So sometimes coaches lose sight of what the obvious is. I don't think, the obvious way to attack, I don't think that's a Jimbo Fisher problem, though. I think he'll see the smart thing to do is to run and set up your pass with the run and a lot of play action and go from there. And if they have some success running, I think they'll be okay.
The difference now, too, is, though, for the first few weeks of the season, teams are daring Zach Calzada to throw on them.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, all right, we're going to stack the line. You're not going to be able to run on us. Let this guy who can't make a play. Last week, he was full of plays. He changed the script. He changed the way you defend the Aggies, and that's all because of what he was able to do last week.
I think so. I think you still come out and you say, I'm gonna dare you to run. I'm gonna invite you to pass. I think that's still the smart way to approach playing A&M. But now you do it with the knowledge that, I'm probably going to stack the box, but am I going to do it with 9? And I'm certainly probably not going to roll up the 10th guy like we've been seeing so often.
Right.
I think you still play A&M's run first, but now that what you saw from Zach Calzada really makes you maybe not as aggressive against the run, I think.
Yep.
Now, and if he does it again, then it really changed. One time they say, okay, we saw him play well, so we got to respect it. But, I'm still not completely convinced, right? Leasing instead of buying.
Right.
But
is that a hint?
Could be. But but if he does it again, then you have to start looking at, I think, A&M's offense completely different.
So in this world that we live in, where fantasy numbers mean something and stats, pay the bills, if you will, I really want the A&M rushing attack to get fat this weekend, because they are taking on a team that they should be able to run on. And I want one of those games where Isaiah Spiller has 250 yards on the ground, A-Chain's got another 175. Maybe I'm asking for too much, but I want one of those numbers to where at the end of the year, where you see this Christian Rodriguez getting fat on these teams, that Spiller and A-Chain have an opportunity to get fat as well.
Well, I think the opportunity's there. I don't know if they're going to get 425 yards between them.
I would like that. I'm just saying.
Of course we would. 300 yards might not be too much to ask for between them.
Sure.
What I've noticed, and I'm not gonna try to act like I'm football expert. I haven't watched tape of video of Missouri. I've seen a few highlights. Okay, I haven't watched one of their games yet.
I haven't either.
So I've seen some highlights, and what looks to me is that they're not particularly fast in the secondary. Now, I mean, I'm not saying that guys are running 4.8 in the secondary,
Right.
but they strike me as not being particularly fast, like more of the 4.6 guys, and I could be dead wrong on that. But I've seen other teams break into the secondary and it's over. And so obviously the potential is there because I don't know that anybody has as fast a running back as Devon Achane, and we've saw against Arkansas that Isaiah Spiller is plenty fast enough.
Right.
So I think there's going to be some potential for some long, really long runs if you can just break that first wave of defense.
I believe we had Ben Dubose on, who is from Houston for Sports Talk 790, but also is the president of the Houston, Missouri Tigers Football Club, which is a thing apparently. And he says their secondary is avoiding action. If you go back and listen to that, they just don't like to make tackles. So you're exactly right. When you get to that level, you might see A-Chain go for a long, long way. Let's do this. Let me set out the topic of the day. Who's going to be the X factor against Missouri? If you want, you can call the show. That'd be great, so I didn't have to talk as much. 979-693-1150, the BCSI hotline, and the AMB text line, 979-693-1150. AMB, a good College Station branch of the Amarillo National Bank. Good Texas banking. Check out amb.com. And with that, we go to the News and Social Center. Tomas Romo joining us here. Tomas, sorry for the Spanish accent. Good morning to you. Your mic's not on.
My mic's not on?
Now
it is. There we go. Hey,
right.
buddy. How are you?
I'm doing good. Let's start it right off with some volleyball. Connor breaks assist record in 5-set loss to Ole Miss. Fifth-year standout Camille Connor broke the Texas A&M 25-point rally scoring error record for assist on the first point of the game last night as Texas A&M fell in 5 sets to Ole Miss.
Very good stuff. Any text messages you want to get into, my friend?
No text messages, but this is something that's important. Texas A&M football defense tackle Jaden Peavy will be good for this weekend's game against Missouri. And A&M's going to need him on the defensive line. Tigers running back Tyler Beatty, he had a big breakout performance last weekend, and his coaches called him the least talked about great player in the country.
He's pretty good. He's really good, actually. I'm interested to see how the A&M defense does against them, because if there was one thing that hurt them early on was the quarterbacks running on them and running backs running on them as well. I guess if you go back to the Colorado game, first half.
Yeah, and Beatty is good, but here's the facts. He's got over 200 yards rushing against North Texas and over 200 yards rushing against Central Michigan. He has 102 yards rushing on 35 carries in 2 combined games against Kentucky and Tennessee. So when he's played SEC teams, he struggled. Now, we were talking about this with Richard yesterday. What that tells me is that their offensive line is having trouble blocking for him when they're playing guys their own size.
I agree with that.
You get him some blocking, he can obviously take it somewhere.
You ready to do some Heisman talk?
Yeah, let's do some Heisman talk.
We'll do that here on the other side of TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Right now, 60 seconds of this voice on the Association of Former Students. Good people over there. Randy Reyes, I told you guys he predicted the Aggie victory. Everybody now saying, I told you it was going to happen. Randy actually did it at lunch. So the dude knows his stuff. But the association's been around forever, 140 years. Their financial gifts from the Aggie Network have empowered the association to be here, there, and everywhere. That's for A&M. That's for Aggies everywhere. And the money goes to such great causes out there. The Corps of Cadets Visitor Center, the Texas Aggie Band for travel, over $1 million there for academic scholarships to students, and none of that would be possible without your gifts. $100 a year, $9 a month, you're going to get the decal, the plaque, the Texas Aggie magazine. To learn more about the impact of the association, get involved or make a gift, visit aggienetwork.com/giving.
Find out first, get scores, updates, and more. Follow the Zone 1150 AM and 93.7 FM on Twitter. Zone 1150.
Howdy, I'm Hunter Shurtleff of the Shurtleff Law Firm. You've likely never thought about needing a personal injury lawyer. I understand why my clients that have suffered a severe injury tell me the process is difficult. Dealing with recovery, medical bills, lost time at work, and insurance adjusters is just too much. Insurance companies employ a huge staff of adjusters and attorneys to work against you. My goal is to let my clients get better and let me deal with recovering the medical costs and working with the adjusters and attorneys. I want to keep helping our community and delivering justice for those who need it most. For a free consultation, go to bcsattorney.com.
The Bryan College Station Chamber of Commerce and title sponsor of the City of College Station invite you to our 2021 annual banquet at the Hilton College Station on November the 8th from 6 until 9 p.m. Featuring a keynote address from Colonel Ross Gibb, Director of the Bush Combat Development Complex at Rellis. Join me, Glenn Brewer, your Chamber President, for an evening of celebration honoring our Citizen of the Year, Irma Cawley, Brazos County Commissioner, our Volunteer of the Year, Mary Mike Hatcher with Bryan Broadcasting, and your new Chamber of Commerce Board Chair, Wade Beckman, with Shipwreck Grill, Amico Nave, Third on Maid, and Admiral Catering. We will also be announcing this year's Chamber Ambassador of the Year. Join us for the Chamber of Commerce Annual Banquet on November the 8th. Tickets and table sponsorships are available. Visit bcschamber.org to reserve your spot. That's bcschamber.org.
Our publications reach every corner of the Brazos Valley, and we want to partner with you in sharing your message with the community. You may recognize a few of our Bryan Broadcasting publications.
Best of the Brazos Valley.
Brazos Life, the annual manual.
Welcome home, Brazos Valley.
Brazos Family.
Brazos Wellness.
Brazos Valley Bride.
Peace, Brazos Christian Life.
With the combined power of 7 magazine titles, 11 radio stations, and digital solutions, Bryan Broadcasting Publications can help you be heard. Call 979-695-9595 to learn more.
The end of the tax year is near, so if you need maintenance or replacement parts for your construction equipment, WPI has you covered. Regardless of your machine's make or model, WPI can help. From custom hydraulic hoses, O-rings, and depth to teeth, buckets, and blades. Any part, filter, fluid, battery, or lighting for every brand of equipment is at your local WPI. Visit Jesse James at WPI's new location in Bryan, Highway 21 East at Marino Road, or click WPI.com.
You can hear every Aggie football game, home, road, national championship, right here on Sports Radio 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. Game Day on the Zone is brought to you in part by Stephen Gustitis, attorney at law, BCS Allstate agent Jerry Anderson, and Higginbotham Insurance. 30 minutes after every A&M home game, tune in for the Twin Peaks Call-In Show, powered by TexAgs.com.
The bus driver is back. Let Olin take over this segment so you guys don't have to hear this. It's TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Whoa, can't even hit certain letters the way I like to. OB, that's all right though. Let's get into some Heisman
Still
talk.
sound good to me.
Well,
I think Dalton said you kind of sound like, Batman. I'm Batman.
Which I do that voice with my kids all the time. Yesterday, Isla said the exact same thing. She's like, it sounds like you're on 24-hour Batman duty.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at your list. I'm not going to, if you go to TexAgs.com, you can read your column on around the SEC or around college football. But you have some similar names up here, but I want you to kind of work your way through before we get to number one. Who's number 5? I'm
going with C.J. Stroud, the Ohio State quarterback. He threw for 5 touchdowns. Now in back-to-back games, he he passed for 406 yards and 5 touchdowns in a 66-16 rout of Maryland through 5 games, completing 66.2% of his passing attempts, 1,699 yards, 18 touchdowns.
By the way, this Heisman Watch is brought to you by Shurtleff Law Firm, delivering justice for those who need it most. By the way, Hunter will be here in the 10 o'clock hour for the fan show, Hunter Shurtleff, that is. All right, OB, so we go from 5 to number 4.
Yeah, it's easy to, Hunter, to justify this one. It's Kenneth Walker of Michigan State, the nation's leading rusher, had 233 yards in a 31-13 victory over Rutgers. He had a 94-yard touchdown in that. Overall this season, 913 yards, 9 touchdowns, and he's caught 4 passes with 1 going for a touchdown.
I believe I've seen him do another 90-yard touchdown this year already. I believe this is not his first one of the year.
That may be, and I believe he's a transfer from Wake Forest.
Really?
Yeah, and look at the year they're having.
They're having a great year. Imagine what they could do with him.
Yeah.
I really like your
undefeated.
I really like your number 3 guy.
Yeah, I'm going Desmond Ritter of Cincinnati. Threw for 259 yards and 3 touchdowns and a 52-3 blowout of Temple. He's completing 65.5% of his passing attempts, 1,304 yards, 12 touchdowns, just 2 interceptions. He's also rushed for 104 yards and 3 touchdowns.
I saw a special on him on ESPN. Just a very likable guy, just very likable, having a wonderful year. I'm not one of those who believe Cincinnati would compete with any of the top 4, if they're in the top 4, I should say. But if things continue the way they go, they will definitely deserve their shot. I just don't think they're on the same level.
I kind of agree with you. Number 2 on my list is this is almost a 1A and 1B. But number 2 on my list, I went with Matt Corral again of Ole Miss. Another great showing in a 52-51 victory over Arkansas. Passed for 287 yards and 2 touchdowns. Rushed for 94 yards and 2 touchdowns. He has passed for 1,497 yards and 12 touchdowns. He has rushed for 255 yards and 8 touchdowns.
He is the real deal. And, in fact, people like to take points away from your number 1 and your number 2 from their losses. Their losses are not because of Matt Corral. Right. Matt Corral was great in that game. Not great. Very good in the game against Alabama, numbers-wise at least. And that leads us to our number 1.
Now, number 1, I still have Bryce Young, despite the fact that they lost 41-38 to the Fighting Texas Aggies. Young wasn't on him. He passed for 369 yards, 3 touchdowns. He had that 1 interception. You can't be perfect. He's completing almost 70% of his passes, 1,734 yards and 20 touchdowns with just 3 interceptions.
I think it's very unfair the way people are talking about his game from Alabama, because I have listened quite a bit to Feinbaum this week, and somebody called this week and was like, he is not on the same level of our last 3 quarterbacks. You mean the last 3 that have all gone in the NFL?
Yeah.
This guy threw for 369, easily could have thrown for 400. He had 2 drops in that game. I believe 1 on that final drive where the Aggies got a 3 and out. Easily could have thrown for 400 yards. He was not the problem. Now, was he flustered? Absolutely. The Aggie defense, you got to give a tip of the cap to the Aggie defense in that game.
Oh, absolutely. I think, plus you also got to remember this guy's in his first year as a starter.
Right.
You know, and you say the last 3 quarterbacks, well, Mac Jones was a first-round pick.
Starting quarterback.
Tua Tagovailoa was a first-round pick.
Correct.
And
Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts was not a first-round pick, but
starting.
But he's starting. I think he's probably a second-day pick.
Yeah.
So he's not as good as those guys in his first year as a starter, behind probably the worst, or worse is a hard, the least dominant offensive line of all those 3 had. So
I think he's been fantastic.
He has, and so has Matt Corral. And I'm going to obviously keep a close eye on those 2 guys, but when it's over, what could push it in Corral's favor is his running ability.
Yeah. But how about this? Bryce Young or Alabama loses another game. Ole Miss loses another 1 or 2. Does that open the door for an undefeated Cincinnati Desmond Ritter?
It could. It's what's going to be a really interesting question is if Alabama, let's say, what if Alabama wins the rest of his games to get into the SEC title game and loses by a touchdown or less to Georgia? You're going to tell me that in that case, a 10-2 team that lost by 3 points and then say by 7 points to the number 1 team in the country, and by the way, what if A&M's also 10-2? That just makes it Alabama loss. You're going to tell me they're better than, or that team's not as good as Cincinnati or Oklahoma if they're undefeated? And to be provincial, what if A&M goes 10-2 and Alabama loses somewhere along the line, and Mississippi State and Arkansas lose again, and it works out where A&M gets into the SEC championship game and pulls off another upset. And then you say, yeah, they're 10-2, but they've beaten the number 1 team in the country twice. You're going to tell me that? I'm not saying that's going to happen, but in college football, you got to consider all the possibilities. You're going to tell me that team is not as good as an unbeaten Oklahoma with that schedule, or an unbeaten Cincinnati with that schedule. And every time Notre Dame loses will be painful for Cincinnati.
I remember on Sunday, I believe it was on Sunday, with Billy, I mentioned that Alabama to me could be Mike Tyson versus Buster Douglas. Right. And what I meant by that, and I actually heard it on Feinbaum's show as well later, a couple days later, but A&M has, I don't want to say they had the blueprint to go beat Alabama, because they don't have a blueprint. They just took it to Alabama, in my opinion, which is different than having like a blueprint to shut them down completely. They just matched their physicality. And in fact, I think we're more physical.
They were.
Especially in the fourth quarter. But I'm curious to see how Alabama will be played moving forward, because now that they have been knocked down, and Billy made this very eloquent, we don't want A&M to be Buster Douglas. We want them to be more Evander Holyfield. But from a Tyson perspective, once they've been knocked down, this version of Alabama, not Saban and what he means and all that good stuff, I'm curious how they will be attacked moving forward now that they can be beat, because that 19-game win streak meant something to every opponent that takes them on, like, well, here comes a loss. Well, now that's not the case.
Yeah, I don't know. I know what you're saying, and maybe it does. You look at it and say, okay, there's some chinks in that armor, right?
All right.
And my answer to that, if I was an Alabama fan, would say, yeah, okay. But who's going to be able to rush the passer with those kind of athletes that A&M has? It's not Auburn.
The only team that can, and we'll probably do it at even higher levels, Georgia.
And that's
maybe if they play each other.
But that's in the championship game.
Correct. On the way there.
So who are we going to face, if I'm an Alabama fan, that's going to be able to put the pressure on us because of the caliber of athletes they have? Maybe Arkansas.
Mississippi State's got a nice defensive front, but I think more at stopping the run as opposed to getting after the quarterback.
Yeah. So that if I was an Alabama fan, and I'm not, but that's the saving grace for me. And they're saying, I don't think there's anybody else that has a DeMarvin Leal or a Michael Clemens or a Tyree Johnson, and just keep bringing guys like that at you.
Yep.
So, but it wouldn't bother me if they tripped one more time.
Yeah, I don't know if I want that to happen. I think I want it to happen at the end. I want Alabama to
lose to Auburn.
That I think would be ideal, as long as A&M can stay undefeated.
Well, then your question is, if you look at the Alabama schedule, who on there that is left that you think they could legitimately lose to?
Maybe Auburn, maybe Arkansas, but I don't believe they could legitimately lose to those teams.
Yeah, and see, I'm not buying Tennessee. I know it's a rival game, but the Auburn, the emotion in an Auburn Alabama, the whole throw the records out the window when you play a big rival. Though I would put my money on Alabama.
Hey, one thing you guys should not do is, if you lose your voice, go to the emergency room. Do not do that. But if you have a real emergency, I got a place for you. That's Caprock Health System. They are 100% locally owned and operated here in the Brazos Valley, and they give you the ability to put the patient first in every decision that they make. They have that ability to do that. They are so good, very convenient, and I'm telling you, state-of-the-art facility, you name it, everything you need, from the emergency care to the hospital admission, laboratory outpatient testing, radiology. They maintain cash prices that rival any competitor here in the BCS, and encourage you to see it for yourself. They've got 2 state-of-the-art facilities for patient healing. You've got Caprock Hospital in Bryan and Caprock 24-hour emergency center in College Station. They both have 0 wait times for emergency care. You'll never have to sit in a crowded waiting room. The hospital and 24-hour ER maintain a clear and sterile and safe environment. Go check out Caprock Health System.
With your community calendar on the Zone. This Saturday, kids ages 8 to 18 can learn about aviation and ride for free at Coulter Airfield. Register online at youngeaglesday.org. The Brazos Valley chapter of the Thin Blue Line Law Enforcement Motorcycle Club is holding their annual bike wash at the Ranch Harley-Davidson this Saturday from 11 to 3. This family-friendly event benefits first responders in the Brazos Valley. The College Station Rotary Club invites you to Pizza with a Purpose, benefiting clothing for kids, this Sunday. Tickets include a pizza for 2 and a bottle of wine from Napa Flats. Find a QR code to purchase tickets on our community calendar at WTAW.com. Every Monday and Thursday at 6, join Zach and Billy at the Tap or listen in here on 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. Get your Aggie football fix with the Bellucci Hour, powered by King Ranch Saddle Shop and brought to you in part by B&B Automotive. I'm Chelsea Reber on The Zone.
Howdy, this is Steve Bledsoe, fighting TexAgs class of '83, with some exciting news. Veribank is now open with our new full-service location on Highway 6 in College Station. With personal bankers, business bankers, Veribank has everything you need in one convenient location. Come see for yourself where genuine banking is waiting for you, and you can bank on it.
Visit Verabank.com today. That's VERA Bank.com. Verabank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
The small Texas town of Llano is where it all began. The Wooten family created Cooper's old-time pit barbecues, mouth-watering recipes, and cowboy-style cooked barbecue. Decades later, you can still get the same great recipes, cooked exactly the same way by the same family, right here in College Station. Dine in, curbside pickup, or catered. Experience the taste of locally, Aggie-owned, nationally recognized Cooper's old-time pit barbecue. Voted best barbecue in the Brazos Valley and proud supporter of Texas A&M athletics.
If you missed the Louis Bellina show, you missed.
You kind of get in a routine, just like when you wake up, you brush your teeth or whatever you do first. Like, we're all creatures of habit and routine. At some point, like, you do things a certain way. So when we travel, we like to create that. But I also am one, you have to be able to adapt and adjust. So if, like, our flight got messed up on the way to Tennessee, so we ended up flying way longer and whatever happens, so we had to change our practice, push it back. You have to still be able to adapt and adjust to things like that, because in sports, that's what happens. You know what I mean? Especially in volleyball. It's not like, yes, you have your goals of how you want it to look, but 9 times out of 10, it's crazy and sporadic, obviously, when you're watching it. So,
oh, sure. You got your schedule, and your schedule sometimes is really just a suggestion.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it kind of, you have to set routines, but then be ready to adjust out of them.
Listen to Louie from 11 to 2 weekdays on The Zone. Brought to you in part by Rudy's Barbecue.
It is TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. If you guys want to text the A and B text line, you certainly can do that, 979-693-1150. I do want to read one text before we go to Stephen McGee. Nuno, had you said that you'd lost your voice and called in yesterday, I would have thought that you were going for a new radio voice like Barry White or something like that. So not only Batman, now I sound like Barry White.
You know who has a great voice? Michael Clemens.
And a great handshake.
Does that? Yeah.
That guy, that's a man right there.
I mean, he, first of all, he's imposing, right? And then he talks to you, and he's even more imposing. I wonder if he talks to the offensive tackles or the quarterbacks when he's chasing them.
When he talks, you listen. And as we listen to the guy on the BCSI hotline, Stephen McGee, joining the show.
He's very imposing.
Very imposing, but very polite as well. Good morning to you, Stephen.
Hey, good morning, guys. Yeah, when I first heard you talking there, Dave, I was wondering what was going on. It sounded like we were going into a funeral or something with the lead-in intro song and then your voice, but now it all comes together.
I party like a little schoolgirl. Stephen, the other night when the Aggies won, so that's why I sound like this.
I think we all did. That was a fun night at Kyle. I enjoyed watching your video, David, on the field, and then I see this little video turns to the left, and then there's OB just with this look on his face. What is that? This just happened.
It looks like a jack-o'-lantern about a week after Halloween. It's starting to mold and deteriorate.
Oh my gosh!
And David said, "Hey, Olin, look, I don't know that he's going to post this of me, but it's okay because I was glad that the Aggies won."
Absolutely. Stephen, take me through your game day experience, man, and just your emotions during the game, after the game, all the craziness.
Well, I'll be the first to tell you, I had no belief at all that A&M was going to win that football game. I thought there was a 0.0% chance. Talking to Coach Waddell before the game, and he called it, and he's like, I'm telling you right now, you watch this team come out, they're going to fight, and I really see it happening. And I sat there, I smiled, I was like, man, that would be something. But I had zero belief. I just didn't see that there was a single matchup in this game that really worked in our favor. Like, well, you look at this position, they're better. You look at this position. But it ended amazing. I mean, that's why we love sports. I mean, that's why you have to snap the football. It was I don't know. I put it right up there. Some of the Johnny games were pretty special, and Swope, and those are near and dear to every Aggie's heart. But this is just this one was unique, and I don't know. I think I got to put it up there right now with one of my favorite sporting events in general, but probably number one right now, just because it was most recent. But it was a special day, I think, for every Aggie.
First of all, I'm going to call Alan Waddell and ask him for the lottery numbers. Secondly, Stephen, you've been in. I can recall a game that you guys were playing Oklahoma up there, and I would have bet anything that y'all were going to lose and not even cover, and y'all almost pulled it off. I think the final score was something like 36-30. So I guess my question is, when you're when you're such an underdog against a team like that, what is a mindset you typically going into a game like that? Because you guys had no chance, and yet y'all almost pulled it off too.
Yeah. I think a little bit of our success stemmed from the ability or the element of surprise, a little bit something different, right? They hadn't prepared for this guy to come in the game and, run option plays. I mean, those are hard things to scheme for. So there's that certain element there. But as well, you get enough guys all on the same page, and you eliminate turnovers, right? I mean, that's always the most important stat. We knew that going into the game, and then you get some special teams plays, and we countered theirs, which was huge. And so when you're able to win those two elements, turnover battle and special teams, and then you execute offensively and defensively, you play sound football on both sides of the football, i.e. you eliminate the big bad plays, then you have a chance. It's such a – football is a funny thing because it's a team game. It takes all 11. And I think, guys, I remember playing back in, like, Texas, that would have been my junior year, and you just feel like your back's against the wall. Or even my sophomore year, losing 3 in a row by the last play of the game, and you just got this sense of belief that it's us versus the world. And that's a great place to believe. And I think that this team had that element too. I mean, there's a lot of frustration amongst the Aggie faithful toward this team, the disappointment and the letdown they had been. And that was, obviously at Jimbo, but then at Zach. I mean, that's where it starts at the top and works down, and the quarterback and the head coach always shoulder more blame than they should. But then in moments like these, they're going to get probably way too much credit, but welcome to the job title.
Can you give, number one, 2 questions here. Can you give Calzada too much credit for that performance? And what about that performance impressed you the most?
No, I don't think you can. It was the gutsiest and probably my favorite quarterback performance that I can recall in some time. I was telling somebody yesterday, to me, it's the element of overcoming the adversity away from football, right? So yeah, he struggled on the field. That was obvious. But the ability of a quarterback in today's world, with the amount of pressure at age 21, Twitter, Instagram, they're just pounding at his door. But to me, the one was when you have rejection amongst your peers, right? When kids your age say no, like you're nothing, like you're cast out, like that's a hard level of rejection, and especially so in person. To be able to face that, and then all the other media outlets, this guy McGee comes on TexAgs radio saying, I got to play better, and then Olin saying the same thing, and Dave, and so we all are in agreement. It's like, man, Zach's got to step up his game, and you get that pressure. And then you got to go take on number 1 Alabama on the field. Like that's a task in and of itself. The mental ability, the toughness to be able to do that as a quarterback and stand in there and be the same guy every day at practice. That is it. Not every guy can do that. Not every quarterback has that ability. That is very rare. And that will translate for Zach for years to come, way beyond football. That level of toughness is needed in this world, especially with the amount of entitlement and softness. I mean, that guy just owned it. He didn't make excuses. He didn't play the victim card. He just stepped up to the plate and gave that team everything he had. And so to answer your question, very long-winded here, OB, I had tears in my eyes when I thought about the rejection on Donut Tuesday or whatever that was. And then the performance, he goes down. I thought he tore his ACL. And then when he trotted back on that field and 106,000 were cheering his name, I mean, I was just, man, I was like, that's what sports is all about right there. And if that moment in and of itself, yeah, winning's great, but that success right there was just special. And so as a former Aggie quarterback, you can't play it any better than what Zach did. And I was just extremely proud.
All right, Stephen, time for a little buy, sell, lease. Who are you buying this week?
Well, can we buy? I want to buy them all this week. They're incredible performance. I'm gonna buy number 6, A-Chain. I mean, this guy's dynamic. We've known that. There's no news there. But to me, it was the element in the pass game. We saw some of that speed. I'd love to see him incorporated more. Get them both on the field more somehow. But yeah, 6, run, pass, all the above.
OB?
I'm buying that pass rush because they finally came in aggressive, a lot like the previous week, unlike then. And I thought Elko was masterful in the way he mixed in blitzes. Notice I didn't say dial up. And just the pressure that they were getting. And you're going to need to have that pressure this week against a guy that likes to throw a lot in Connor Bazelak.
I'd like to buy Zach, but I'm not going to because I think that's the easy one. We're all buying Zach. I'm buying that offensive line that kept him clean the entire game. The Aggies needed a big run. Even though they didn't have huge numbers running, when they needed a big run like Spiller, they got it. And that offensive line is a big part of that. Steven, who are you selling?
I don't want to sell anybody this week. Honestly, I'll sell the punter just because I hope he doesn't get out there against this Missouri team. I hope his offense is just up and down the field and putting points on the board. So let's start with the special teams guy, not because he's not playing well, but mainly just because I hope we don't have to use him.
That's tough. I'm selling the idea that you just automatically are going to beat Missouri, even though I kind of lean that way, just because you worry about taking the game for granted. I know that when A&M beat Oklahoma in 2002, the next game they lost to Missouri. So I'm kind of with Steven. I don't know what you can sell on the team, so I'm going to have to be a little more abstract here. So I'm going to sell any ideas that, hey, this means you're going to automatically go beat Missouri, and hopefully, they don't.
I'm selling stats because if you look at the stats, it would look like Alabama dominated A&M, but that's not exactly what happened. A&M dominated them physically. Alabama had 522 yards. Their quarterback threw for 369, 10 less yards than the Aggies had as a complete team. They had the ball for 33 minutes to A&M's 26. The only stat that matters in that one is that the Aggies won 41-38. They were the more physical team, especially in the fourth quarter. That's why they won. All right, what are we leasing, Stephen?
Man, there's two guys, offensive and defensive line, I really want to lease. Number 76, Father. I mean, this guy is something else. You could just see the ability. He was locking guys up. Now, there's an occasional, I'm 18-year-old, I'm a bust, and that's fine too. I know that he's probably got to clean up his protections, pass sets, and see in the big picture. But from an ability perspective, this guy's going to be really unique. And then number 3, Tyree Johnson. Every so often, this guy just jumps on the scene and has a huge impact on the game. I know OB alluded at the defensive line performance in that game. Getting quarterback pressure was key for us, and number 3 had a big part of that.
Leasing Zach Calzada. He was obviously brilliant. He became legendary, and yet there's been other games where he struggled. So I'm feeling good. I'm not selling him, but I think that I might be willing to buy if he follows up that performance with another excellent showing.
All right, I'm leasing Jalen Watermeyer. Now, he hasn't had a huge season, and he didn't have high-volume catches against Alabama, but his catches were huge. 3 catches, 73 yards, and that big touchdown. I like to see him more involved, and I like to see him happy again. It looked like he was last couple of weeks, I'm feeling that JW vibe again. So, hey, when we do come back, we're going to do That's Bullcrap. I do want to announce this tomorrow on the show. Hector Calzada, Zach's father, going to be joining us at 8:35. Found that out this morning. Looking forward to talking to Mr. Calzada here on the program. Right now, I want caller number 1. We're going to give you a free car wash from Aggieland Express Car Wash in South College Station off of William D. Fitch and Greens Prairie. They are Aggie owned and operated with the friendliest staff and personal touch. They offer a monthly membership, but we're going to give the first caller a free car wash right now from Aggieland Express in South College Station. 979-693-1150.
Your home for Texas A&M baseball is Sports Radio 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. The Zone.
For service you can trust and a job done right the first time, contact Tom Line Plumbing and Irrigation. Whether it's commercial or residential, new construction or service, they have you covered. Tom and Shelby Line have been serving the Brazos Valley for 11 years, and their team of plumbers have more than 40 years of experience. Customer service is their highest priority. Trust your every plumbing need to Tom Line Plumbing and Irrigation. Click TomLYNEPlumbing.com today.
At United Roofing and Sheet Metal, we've got you covered inside and out.
Need help with your high wind or hail damage claims? Call Larry Winkler and the fine folks at United. United Roofing is your local, professional, family-owned business with over 40 years of service to the Brazos Valley. United is your insurance claims specialist, providing the most comprehensive full-system labor and material warranty in the roofing industry. Call United today at 268-ROOF.
Hello, St. Joseph Eagles fans. Listen to St. Joseph Eagles football throughout the season on KEDC 88.5 FM. St. Joseph Eagles football is brought to you this season by these local businesses: Jason Bainski Realtor, Lone Star Roof Systems, Law Office of Jeff Paradowski, Kraus Paint and Body, Wings and More, Blinn College, and Serve Pro of the Brazos Valley. Listen to St. Joseph Eagles football on KEDC 88.5 FM. Special thanks to all of our St. Joseph Eagle football sponsors.
The Bellucci Hour Happy Hour is a must part of any Aggie football season. Join Billy Lucci of TexAgs and Zach Taylor, the Infomaniac, every Monday and Thursday at 6 at the Tap, or listen in right here on Sports Radio 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. The Bellucci Hour Happy Hour every Monday, Thursday at 6 is brought to you by King Ranch Saddle Shop. Also brought to you in part by B&B Automotive. It's the Bellucci Hour Happy Hour.
Bryan Broadcasting is your home for high school football. Bryan High, A&M Concession High, play on the Bryan Broadcasting family of stations. No matter where you are, hear every play, every game, all season long. Thanks to Amarillo National Bank, Blinn College, BCS Toyota, and Ed Phillips Plumbing. To find out when and where to hear your favorite team, go to brazosfootball.com.
You can hear Astros baseball all season and postseason long on Sports Radio 1150 and 93.7 FM, plus Gospel 97.3 FM, thanks to Kelly Burt Dozer. The Astros look to make another World Series run. You can hear the games on The Zone or on Gospel 97.3 FM, thanks to Kelly Burt Dozer. The Houston Astros, the World Series. Listen in, all thanks to Kelly Burt Dozer.
And we're back, TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. OB and Stephen McGee joining us here. He's on the BCSI hotline, and it is now time for That's Bullcrap, presented by Tom Line Plumbing. For service that you can trust, consider Tom Line Plumbing. Great friend of Stephen McGee, a longtime trusted plumber in and around the Brazos Valley. Check out the website, tomlineplumbing.com. Mr. McGee, what's bullcrap?
You guys see this light upgrade here in my office. My wife was watching the show. I'm obviously having to do it from the home today. And she came in here and installed her ring light because the light on my face wasn't correct. Bullcrap for the week is the $250,000 fine that is assessed to teams, or up to $250K, I guess, when they storm the field. I mean, it's just not a complete celebration unless all 60,000 kids are on the field celebrating, partying together. That's bullcrap in my opinion. You got to let these schools enjoy special moments, and this was certainly one of them, and it wouldn't be the same without it.
Agreed. OB?
My bullcrap is that, and maybe I'm wrong on this, but Stephen A. Smith, he said, several last summer that game would be, that the A&M Alabama game would be a massacre,
that's right.
and that A&M was going to get a beat down. And you make statements like that, then when you are proven wrong, gloriously incorrect, I want you to go own it and grovel. And the fact, to my knowledge, that he hasn't responded to A&M's win. Now, maybe he has, and I just didn't see it.
I haven't seen it, and I think Aggies would have tagged us on that.
I think that's just a huge pile of bull crap.
Right here.
Yeah. I mean, that's like the bull needs Pepto-Bismol crap.
I agree with that. Here's mine, guys. It's the attention Alabama is receiving, or what they did wrong against A&M, as opposed to what A&M did right in that game. All I've heard is how Alabama played a terrible game, this and that. No, Alabama played a really good game. A&M played better. That's the difference in the game. Jimbo Fisher out-schemed, out-coached Nick Saban. Mike Elko, thank you very much. Bill O'Brien didn't have his best game. Sorry, but that's him. That's who you hired. I saw it in Houston for many, many years. He did the Watt cat, put J.J. Watt as a fullback, and he got hurt. So this is your team. A&M brought it to you, and I think it is bullcrap that people are saying what Alabama did wrong as opposed to what A&M did right. Stephen, I did want to ask you this earlier. I didn't get to ask you here in the last couple of minutes of the segment. What does this do now for A&M moving forward, the trajectory of the season? Because beforehand, it was like, just get through Alabama, and then we can figure out who we really are. Well, they did get through Alabama, and they got a W. What does this mean long-term for this season?
Well, I think it transforms this team very quickly. Now, all of a sudden, instead of talking about 6-6, I think you're talking about the opportunity for the team that we saw to be 10-2, right? And so I think there's a different trajectory for the current team, but also from a recruiting perspective and building this ship on a continual basis. Think about all the recruits that were at that game, that witnessed that atmosphere. That could be the difference makers for us. And we're always, right there, that next step behind Alabama in recruiting. So that's a huge, huge opportunity for us as well. And look, the challenge is what OB nailed in his part. It was amazing, but as a coach, the challenge is preaching to a bunch of 18 to 22-year-old guys that you're only as good as your next game. This one's behind us. We beat number one. All of us are still talking about it, but Missouri is now the most important game on the schedule. They may be in the cellar right now in the SEC. That does not matter. It is difficult to win every week, and especially on the road. So the challenge is following up that performance.
Thank you very much, Stephen. We'll see you next week, my friend.
All right, guys. Take care.
Take care. Stephen McGee, as always, on the BCSI hotline. We appreciate him. OB, I usually say goodbye to you. I'm saying hello. Is it me you're looking for?
For the next segment, next couple segments, I guess.
Yeah, we're going to have you around for the next half hour. Then GB's coming in. Gabe Bach. I have a couple GBs in my life. Greg Bailey and Gabe Bach. We'll have Gabe here. It is TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner Jewelers.
The flagship station for Aggie Athletics is The Zone. Whenever the Aggies are playing, you can hear them right here at 1150 and 93.7 FM. Thanks to our listeners and our Aggie broadcast sponsors, Park at Tradition's Exceptional Senior Living, First Financial Bank, and Cooper's Barbecue. Here's a big gig-em to all these sponsors. Listen to Aggie Athletics on The Zone 1150 and 93.7 FM.
Our publications reach every corner of the Brazos Valley, and we want to partner with you in sharing your message with the community. You may recognize a few of our Bryan Broadcasting publications.
Best of the Brazos Valley.
Brazos Life, the annual manual.
Welcome home, Brazos Valley.
Brazos Family.
Brazos Wellness.
Brazos Valley Bride.
Peace, Brazos Christian Life.
With the combined power of 7 magazine titles, 11 radio stations, and digital solutions, Bryan Broadcasting publications can help you be heard. Call 979-695-9595 to learn more.
Want to listen online? Not sure of the prize rules? Would you like to learn more about your favorite host? Go now to Zone1150.com. Zone1150.com. This is KZNE College Station Bryan, Aggieland's home for sports.
From WTAW, I'm Chelsea Reber with a news update on the Zone. The Brazos County judge and the director of the Brazos Valley Council of Governments make the decision to end a local pandemic relief program more than a year before the deadline and with more than $4 million yet to be spent.
Thursday's the last day applications can be submitted to BVCOG by Brazos County pandemic victims who are requesting money to pay rent and utilities. Starting Friday, applications can be made to the state, where County Judge Dwayne Peters says they can help more people with greater efficiency. As of the end of September, more than $2.1 million has been distributed. Once it's determined how much money remains from the $6.9 million federal grant, the county will recommend the remainder goes to the state. Bill Oliver, 1620, 94.5 WTAW.
The number of active coronavirus cases in Brazos County is less than half of what it was 2 weeks ago. The health district reports 340 fewer active cases. That makes the running total 1,394. More information is at brazoshealth.org. During the week of Veterans Day, 1,000 American flags will be placed at Veterans Park for the 10th annual Bryan Rotary Club Field of Valor. Events Chair Bunny Pratt says there is still time for you to tag a flag in honor or memory of someone's service to our country or community.
It might be someone who's in the military, someone who's a veteran, someone who's a first responder, that would be police, fire, EMS, or a healthcare worker.
More information can be found at bryan-rotary.org. United Way of the Brazos Valley has announced reservations are being taken for the 38th Thanksgiving in the Brazos Valley event. UWBV's communications manager, Kat Gammon, says register for meals or food baskets at uwbv.org.
They are first come, first served, so I do suggest if you need a meal for Thanksgiving, go ahead and get on the list.
Volunteer drivers can sign up to deliver meals at volunteerbrazosvalley.org. More news is at WTAW.com. I'm Chelsea Reber on The Zone.
Thank you for joining us. Dave South here, ready to introduce you to the home team as they prepare to take the field. That's right. Your home team is the Lester Group, your team for buying and selling real estate in Bryan College Station, led by veteran real estate broker and third-generation local Lance Lester. His team is undefeated when it comes to customer service. As he steps up, he surveys the market, a little shifting on the defense, but Lance always seems to find a matchup that he likes. Quick snap of the offer. Lance drops back, checks his options. He looks downfield. He's got a contract wide open. He throws. It's tipped by inspections, again by the appraisal. Great block by the mortgage lender. And it's caught. And he's in the closing zone. He could go all the way. He's at the 20, the 10, the 5, and he's taking it to the house. Literally taking it to the house for signatures. This deal is closed. The Lester Group is lightning in a bottle.
Good morning, sports fans. I'm Zach Taylor with your Aggie Sports Minute on The Zone. The Sports Minute is brought to you by Hilco Metal Roofing and Supply. Call 936-825-0500 or click hilcosupply.com. A lot was made this past offseason about the quarterback battle at Texas A&M. Haynes King edged out fellow sophomore Zach Calzada, but then went down with a leg injury in the second game of the year. Coach Jimbo Fisher was asked when fans can expect to see King suiting up again.
I've had guys that they say it's going to be a 4-month deal, it's a 3-month deal. I've had guys say it's a 3-month. That depends on how you heal and what your injury is. It's a significant injury. It's going to take significant time to heal. So I don't know the answer to that. I'm not trying to dodge it. You know, if he's one of those guys who's a fast healer, but if he's not, I always would rather err on the side of preventing him from playing or whatever is the safest, the longest to make sure he's off the field for the right reason. This guy's got a lot of ball ahead of his lifetime.
Well, right now, the Aggies have the reigning SEC Offensive Player of the Week and Maxwell Player of the Week in Calzada. He and the guys hit the road this Saturday to visit Mizzou. For a preview, tune into the Belucci Hour tonight from 6 to 7 on The Zone. Nothing doing for Aggie volleyball last night as the Maroon and White fell to Ole Miss in 5 sets. Now, it wasn't all bad, though, as fifth-year senior Camille Connor broke the program's all-time record for assists. And men's tennis kicks off the ITA Texas Regional today. Now, due to inclement weather, first-round qualifying matches will be played in Waco, with second-round matches slated for this afternoon at the George P. Mitchell Tennis Center. And that's been your Aggie Sports Minute, brought to you by Hilco Metal Roofing and Supply. On The Zone, I'm Zach Taylor.
The best is yet to come in College Station.
Is down, it is up, and the fight Texas Aggies take down the top-ranked Tide 41-38. Number 1 goes down.
Join us Saturday. The Aggies visit the Missouri Tigers. Our coverage begins at 10 a.m. on your home for Aggies football, the Texas A&M Sports Network.
Listen to Aggie football on 1150 a.m. and 93.7 FM. Online at radioaggieland.com or tell your smart speaker to play Zone 1150.
Welcome back into TexAgs Radio, presented by David Garner Schulers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. I guess every hour I should reset why I sound like Batman, lost my voice, so I apologize for that. OB going to stick around and make this a fun show for you guys so I don't have to talk as much. But we got a great guest on the BCSI hotline. That is Ryan Swope, who's going to get it done with us. Good morning to you, Ryan.
Good morning, guys. How we doing?
Doing well, my friend. Thank you so much for joining us. So, hey, I want to start off with how your game day experience went. So let's go to Saturday night. You know, we all have our own unique perspectives of how things unfolded. Take me through your evening on how the game unfolded and post-game, during game, all that good stuff.
Man, yeah, so this was actually my first game that I got to attend this year. Just with having kids, that's kind of taken over my life. So it was very, very refreshing to be at Kyle Field. And man, how about that performance on Saturday night? That was something special. I was proud of our team. I was proud of all the guys. I was proud of the way that the coach, the game plan, the coaching, and then obviously how the 12th man showed up. I mean, it was just an incredible night. Definitely one that we'll always remember for a very, very long time.
Before we get going with all the usual stuff, I want to ask you this. You were a part of a team that was having some trouble. Like I'm talking about 2010, right? And y'all beat Oklahoma, right?
Yeah.
Can you talk about what that win over Oklahoma did for the team? Because y'all went on a winning streak. Y'all had already won, I think, against Texas Tech and Kansas. That's no big deal. But you beat Oklahoma, and then you beat a couple weeks later, you beat Nebraska, and then beat Texas. And what did you hear that a big win like this can take you two ways. You can either celebrate it and then fall back and lose. What did it do for y'all, and why were y'all able to continue on and keep winning?
Yeah, that's actually a really good comparison that year. I think that Oklahoma game, I think they're top 5 in the country that year. We beat a number 9 Nebraska, and we already had some pretty, I wouldn't say bad losses, but disappointing losses. But I think it was one of those deals that we knew that we were capable of, and we knew that we were better than what we were showing on the field. And it was just a matter of getting everybody on the same page and executing, bottom line. So I think that this kind of is very similar situation here, because I know that we believed in our team, and I know that coach has been recruiting his tail off, and we're a very talented group. It was just a matter of all coming together and putting the puzzle together in a collective matter, and then going out and executing, and we saw it. I mean, we saw what this team is capable of doing. And, I think that it's just a matter of time. There's a lot of young guys, young offensive line. I mean, it's just a matter of learning from those mistakes in the past and how can we be better. And I think that we saw a revived football team, and going forward from here on out, I think we're seeing these guys are going to be playing with a lot more confidence. And, that win against Oklahoma back in 2010, it was kind of domino effect. It gave you kind of a chip on the shoulder. It gave you confidence and the assurance that we are a good football team. We can compete with anybody in this league, and let's do this every, week in, week out, because it's fun. And we know that we can do it. So I think it just comes down to, you get that big win against Bama under your belt, and moving forward, nobody can beat us. Play with, that winning mentality. And I think that it's just crucial that we got that win, especially after, a tough couple losses there, to have, Jimbo, to get his team to bounce back like that against number 1 Alabama. I mean, that's that was just tremendous job all around by his coaching staff and just by the seniors and the leadership on that team to rally behind, a lot of adversity that they had just been through and then come back and beat the number one team in the country. I mean, my hat is off to that team and the 12th man and everybody involved. Everybody was involved in that victory Saturday night.
It's Getting It Done with Ryan Swope here on the BCSI hotline. All right, Ryan, who got it done? A lot of people got it done, but who's your pick for Saturday night? Who got it done?
Man, I'm going with I think that we can hand out a bunch of ribbons and trophies to all kinds of people on the field, but I'm going with the 12th man. I think that that Kyle Field was electric, and the 12th man provides the best football environment, I think, in college football. I mean, and if you go to a game and you see it, and especially when you beat the number one team in the country, I mean, the 12th man showed up and it was loud and it was fun and it was electric. And I would say that they had a big impact on that game. And Alabama, they, jumping off sides and, goal line stands and a goal line turnover, all that stuff. I remember my days, on Kyle Field, and I'll never forget that Nebraska game. At the end of the game, sometimes offense doesn't get it done or defense doesn't get it done. But man, I'll tell you, the 12th man, they're always stepping up and they win games for us. Bottom line.
Okay. So when A&M ventures out to Columbia, Missouri in about 48 hours, who's going to get it done? Who will get it done?
Anaya Smith. I think that he's kind of been a little under the radar here, but I know what kind of guy he is, what kind of person. He brings a ton of leadership to this team. I think from here on out, I think we're going to see a guy that is going to take over these games. I think that he's 2 touchdowns this last game, 6 or 7 grabs. That should be Anaya Smith every single week. And I think that him and Calzada are really just starting to build this chemistry. And you got to remember, it doesn't happen overnight to build that chemistry between you and a receiver. And I think that they're just now starting to click. And I think that going forward, I think we're going to see Anaya Smith in the end zone a lot.
Does Anaya
making a jump.
Does Anaya remind you of you?
In a way, yeah, he definitely does. I think that I just love how much heart he plays with. And I think, the guy goes out and he, whether he's blocking downfield or, he's away from the football. That's a good way to grade somebody out as far as how bad they want it. And I'm always watching that guy. He'll go dig out a safety. He's got it, if he's got to, or he'll go dig out a linebacker. He's a very unselfish player, and he plays with a ton of heart, and he plays with a chip on his shoulder, and you can see it, and he's having fun. So to answer that, that's kind of what I love to do. I love to go out there and flatten a linebacker, and I like to go, get my nose dirty and blindside somebody. That was all fun to me. And I think Anaya kind of has that same mentality, that same attitude. And I think he's just a special player, and he's electric. And he's a great route runner too. He's just fun to watch. And I think he brings a whole new energy and leadership to this team that we really, really need. And we saw that on Saturday for sure. Anaya Smith is a special player.
Ryan, our favorite.
I don't know. Do you think that we are similar?
Yeah, I do. I think with the catching the ball, good hands, and then what you do with it after you catch it. You were such a good runner after the catch, and I think Anaya is too.
Yeah, he's a special player, and I think we're going to see him, involved from here on out a lot. So All-Chain was also. That guy's got some wheels, man.
Doesn't he?
Goodness gracious, that guy can fly.
Hey, Ryan, your favorite question. Who's not going to get it done? Obviously, we're not picking anybody on A&M, but No, they've got some good players over there in Missouri. Yeah. Who on Missouri? Is it the quarterback who's had a good year? Just the team in general?
Well, I think their team in general, I think that they're not going to get it done trying to stop Isaiah Spiller and All-Chain. I know that that's been a big weakness on their side. What was it, like 315 yards that they allowed last week on the run game? So they're definitely not going to get it done, which I think is very favorable matchup for our backfield and our offensive line. And by the way, our offensive line did a fantastic job Saturday night. I mean, you're talking about a young group. They've been, really struggling and things really haven't been coming together for them. But as you guys know, I mean, it just takes time because these guys are young. And Calzada didn't get sacked once. And so they're doing something right. And that's against Alabama. I mean, you're talking about one of the top defensive fronts in the country, and they showed up and they seemed like they were all on the same page and very comfortable. And so that's very exciting moving forward. I'm pumped up to see that.
What is your biggest key against Missouri? Is it establishing that run?
I think so. I think that's always the biggest key. If we can establish the run, it just opens up the field, take shots down the field. And I thought that the game plan this last Saturday was really good. I thought that we did a better job of, attacking the run, but also I saw quite a few more double moves and shots down the field. And I think it was just a well-called game.
That is Ryan Swope on the BCSI hotline. Ryan, we appreciate you. We'll catch up with you next week, hopefully after another victory.
Hey, thanks, guys. Gig 'em.
Gig 'em. Ryan Swope always here on Thursdays, getting it done with our buddy here. I want to remind you guys to text radio to 1-833-638-6248 for your chance to win the Big Friday giveaway, courtesy of our friends here at Aggieland Outfitters. We're going to unveil that winner tomorrow during the 10 o'clock hour. And this is another good one, guys. I've been talking about it all week long, except for yesterday, but Richard talked about it. It is the Aggie hoodie right here from Champion, the Champion Core Power Blend hoodie, valued at $49.99 here, Aggieland Outfitters. Show off your Texas Aggie pride. Here, it's going to be cold at Missouri, so maybe I should just buy this bad boy and take it with me out there. It's white. It's got the Champion hoodie. It's got the Aggies, the beveled A&M logo written in maroon across the front. But the material's real thick. It'll keep you warm, especially here as we get closer to November. It's going to get colder out here at Kyle Field. You'll want to wear this and show off your A&M pride. Go check it out at Aggieland Outfitters. It is the Texas A&M Champion Core Power Blend hoodie, valued at $49.99 at Aggieland Outfitters.
It's ESPN Radio. ESPN. Weeknights and weekends here on Sports Radio 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. The Zone.
Howdy, y'all. This is Cullen Gillespie, former 12th man. I've always tried to help my team on and off the field. And now I'd like to help Texas A&M fans like you cut their electricity bills in half. Yep, in half. It takes less than 5 minutes and you'll save hundreds, maybe even thousands of dollars every year. 90% of Texans overpay for electricity, so don't be one of them. Sign up today at energyogre.com and use code GILLY, G-I-L-L-Y, for a free month of service.
Hey parents, when it comes to your child's education, there's a lot to consider. No matter what you're searching for, search the Bryan Broadcasting half-price tuition program first. We've partnered with schools and learning centers throughout the area to get your students started with high-quality programs at half price. Right now, we're featuring half-price tuitions at Hopewell Classical Day School, Kingsgate Christian School, Sunshine School, Kinder Music, and more. Half-price tuitions are first come, first served, and availability is limited. Go to halfpricebrazos.com.
Since 1957, Slovacek Sausage in Snook has been making the best tasting sausage in Texas from the same family recipe. Slovacek is the official sausage of Texas A&M Athletics. Whether it's from the grill to the family gathering or from the pit to the neighborhood party, serve the sausage voted best in the Brazos Valley. Serve Slovacek. Be sure to come in and check out their full-service meat market, relax on the front porch, or grab some fresh kolaches from their bakery on your way out. Slovacek Sausage, Highway 60 in Snook.
Grab your first cup of coffee weekday mornings with Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin. Powered by WC Tractor here on 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. Plus online at RadioAguiland.com. WC Tractor is your local award-winning Kubota and New Holland dealer. You have questions? Look them up online or at WCTractor.com. That's WCTractor.com. You can also call with your questions at 1-888-8-TRACTOR. That's 1-888-8-TRACTOR. ESPN Radio. Powered by WC Tractor here on the Zone.
Shop local, buy local, save big deals.
It's not every day you can save money. Oh, wait, you can. Hi, Jenny here from Big Deals. When you shop Big Deals, you'll save money every day on dozens of gift certificates from local businesses like these.
Howdy's Pizza, BCS Tire Pros, Cotton and Oak Home and Style, Cilantro Mexican Grill, and more. Visit AggieLandBigDeals.com to save big. AggieLandBigDeals.com.
It's Larry from Shelby, previously on the Paul Feinbaum Show. Win, lose, or draw, the legend is going to call, baby. This is unacceptable at the University of Alabama. I don't care what McElroy, I don't care what any of the experts come on here and say, because we suck.
The Paul Feinbaum Show, powered by Polaris Fun Center, 2 to 4 weekdays on the Zone.
And we're back. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. My man OB is hanging out with us for another 15 minutes or so as we power through this terrible voice of mine. I appreciate you, OB, sticking around, man.
Sure. Anything for the team, right?
Anything for the team. You're a team player.
I am a team player.
That's what you do. Hey, let's right now. You remind me of Kenyon Green. You're just multiple positions. You can go anywhere. Go center, left guard, left tackle, right guard, whatever. You can do it all.
I try. I think I'm more of a. I would never think I'm as good as Kenyon Green. He's so. I mean, that guy. He's going to make millions and millions of dollars.
He's going to make a lot of money, my friend. Let's go to the BCSI hotline. Aaron Torres of Fox Sports joining us here. Aaron, good morning to you.
Well, first of all, as someone who's been doing interviews with OB for years, I mean, he's more like A-Chain, right? I mean, he can catch the ball in the backfield. He can go deep. He can return kicks. He can return punts. He's a jack of all trades, man. How you doing, OB?
I'm doing very well, Aaron. You're too kind.
I only speak the truth. Sometimes it gets me in trouble, but not on this one, baby. How you doing, Nuno? You okay?
Man.
What happened?
Well, I partied like a little schoolgirl on Saturday night, man. I rushed the field. Sure. I lost my voice, man, but I'm feeling great, especially thinking that the Aggies might be on a 2-game win streak, hopefully a 3-game win streak before the open week. Well, just give me your thoughts on what you saw over the weekend.
I saw, a group. First of all, obviously, look, Zach Calzada, game of his life. Credit to him. But listen, we saw a group that put it all together. I mean, 3 phases, special teams. Obviously, I just referenced there a minute ago. I know the play before that on special teams wasn't nearly as good, but this was the game that we had been waiting for at least this specific season. There was no doubt there was talent. There's reason that people were talking about this program as a potential playoff contender going into the regular season. Obviously, there were some hiccups along the way. And I think, listen, Dave, we've talked about this the last few weeks. I mean, I think you can go back and rewrite history a little bit. I mean, that Arkansas game, they had 2 big scores. You take those out, A&M wins that game. Mississippi State was a little bit of a weird one. But I bring it all up to say this is that, I think it was a perfect storm where, a lot of the players that needed to play well played at their best. Calzada played it at his best. Obviously, the crowd was a huge factor. That O-line from Alabama looked confused all night long. So just a great game and a great win and a testament to the program that Jimbo Fisher is continuing to build. And really, frankly, the talent that he's accumulated, because it wasn't as though it was a fluky, weird, anything. That was the better football team on Saturday night and the team that deserved to win.
Does that win make you more impressed by A&M or question Alabama?
Well, OB, I honestly I think it can be both, and I'm mad at myself, and I'll tell you why. Coming out of that weekend before, where Alabama really handles Ole Miss and Georgia really handles Arkansas, there was this narrative, and I was one of hundreds of college football fans that fed into it, that it was Georgia, Bama, and everybody else. And but even coming out of that Bama game, I said, wait a second now, was Bama that dominant? Or did Lane Kiffin gift wrap them 21 points? I mean, they went for it 3 times in Alabama territory. They did not convert. Alabama had a short field. They gave them 21 points. And so, I thought Alabama should be 1 or 2 in some order coming out of that game. Don't get me wrong. But I think we looked at both of those games, Georgia 37-0 and Alabama 42-21 as the same win, and they were not at all. And so, I think it confirmed to me that this is not a vintage Alabama team. That's an Alabama team that could have lost in the swamp, maybe should have lost in the swamp. But I don't think they lost solely because they're a terrible team. A&M rose to the occasion. They had their most complete game of the season. Obviously, it goes without saying. But I do look at this Alabama team, and I do think, look, in the last 2 NFL drafts, they've lost 2 first-round quarterbacks, 2 first-round left tackles, 4 first-round receivers, Najee Harris. I mean, I do think the attrition, they've had some injuries this year on the field. On the defense, the entire offensive staff left this offseason, headlined by Steve Sarkisian. So I do think attrition has played a role in this program. I don't think it's the best Nick Saban team that we've ever seen, but that's also not to take away from Texas A&M, which just played an incredible game on Saturday night.
Aaron Torres with us here on the BCSI hotline. All right, Aaron, where does A&M go from here?
Well, you referenced it right to lead in, David. I mean, I think if you're the kind of caliber team that we all think that A&M is and is going to continue to be, you take care of business on the road this weekend against Missouri, you take care of business against South Carolina, and you head into that open week, kind of hitting that home stretch with a chance to still have a very special season. Now, 10-2 maybe isn't exactly what Aggie fans wanted, but I think when you factor in brand new quarterback, changes along the O-line, all the stuff that happened in the lead up to the season, I think you take 10-2, right? And so, to me, I always look at this, David, and we've talked about it through the weeks, is that certain programs want to be certain things at certain times. And if you're A&M and you want to be that Alabama caliber program year in and year out, these are games you got to take care of and take care of convincingly. I know it's a noon kickoff. I know there's a little bit of a hangover from last weekend. Go pound Missouri. They stink. Their defense can't stop anybody. Zach Calzada, go throw for another 300 yards and sit out the fourth quarter on the sidelines. Defense, you're playing a very explosive offense, but it's not as though you didn't do that last week as well. And so to me, obviously, look, I know there's still tough games on the schedule. Ole Miss down the road, Auburn down the road. Who knows what LSU is going to be by the time A&M plays them. But to me, that is the momentum. That is the definition, I guess you would say, of a program that is continuing to ascend. Is you get that nice win and you put it in the past. The coaches talk about the 24-hour rule. By Sunday afternoon, Sunday night, it's time to move on to Missouri. And I'm really curious to see how they handle themselves come Saturday afternoon in Columbia, because you win that game, 34-14 or whatever. That shows me that this is a program that, expected to beat Alabama, did beat Alabama, and then they moved on to the next one like a championship caliber team does.
Could a 2-loss team get in the playoff this year? And would you look at some 2-loss teams and thinking they're better than maybe some teams with 1 loss or even unbeaten?
It's a great question, OB. I mean, it's really funny because I was starting to this week look at how many teams are, really in the playoff picture, and it's still a lot. And I think you have to look at these 2-loss teams. Now, the thing with A&M is obviously, I assume, OB, you're talking about A&M as
I'm talking about A&M, Alabama, Clemson.
Yeah, no, I know. But you're really talking about A&M, though, OB. And
for A&M to have 2 losses, they would have to run the table and then beat Georgia.
Yes. And they would need Alabama to lose another game to get into the SEC championship game. So, no, but to answer your question, I mean, I still think I know there's a lot of football left to be played because, you look at even, say, the Big Ten, right? I mean, you have Michigan State are both undefeated. Penn State, Ohio State have 1 loss. None of them have played each other to this point, So, one of them is going to have to play Iowa in the Big Ten championship game. The Pac-12, everybody has a loss. The Big 12, Oklahoma, we'll see where they're at in 2, 3, 4 weeks with this quarterback situation. So to answer your question, OB, there was talk, I think, early in the season when we saw the Ohio States, the Oregons, the Clemsons all take losses, the A&Ms included obviously in that as well, that this could be the year that we get a 2-loss team, a 2-loss power conference team in the college football playoff. I would say, honestly, OB, I don't think it would surprise me because I think even the teams that are undefeated right now in these power conferences, it's not as though they don't have questions. Iowa, can they score? Or, what happens when the other team, when they don't force 4 or 5 turnovers from the other team? Georgia, I love Georgia. They were my preseason pick to win the championship. But at some point, you got to prove somebody's going to make them pass the football. I don't know if they can do it. And so I bring it up because you have a lot of one-loss teams that seem to be rounding into form. Ohio State comes to mind there. We'll see about Alabama, all that stuff. But then even these undefeated teams don't look invincible. And so as you start to go down the road, as there's more conference games, as there's conference championships, you're going to have some really good 2-loss teams at the end of this year, OB. And so I think if there's ever a year where it could happen, I think this might be the year where the ACC is wide open, where the Big 12 is wide open, where the Pac-12, everybody has one loss, where the SEC, everybody other than one team is going to have one loss by the end of this weekend. I think it's absolutely in play.
All right, Aaron, what's on the pod this week and Aaron Torres online?
Yeah, well, first of all, I got to say this. I don't mind being bumped, but when I saw that I got bumped for Gabe Bach, I mean, that was like an all-time low. I know we got to get out of here, but I tell Gabe I say hello. But yeah, busy week, fun week. Listen, I think, first of all, we're previewing a weekend that I think as the week got on, I got more excited about it with Lane Kiffin returning to Knoxville, with kind of Auburn, Arkansas is kind of a show me something game, Alabama going on the road. Website, it's all my picks, it's all my NFL. My NFL guys are doing some writing stuff, all that stuff. So busy week. And like I said, David, I think coming out of last weekend, I didn't know, about the excitement. I'm always excited for college football Saturday, but I wasn't quite sold on this weekend. But as we get further into this week, I think we're learning a lot about Ole Miss, Alabama, Auburn, Arkansas, LSU as an almost double-digit favorite at home. Really excited for this weekend.
All right, that is Around College Football with Aaron Torres, brought to you by Milliken Reserve, a College Station community featuring homes, trails, farms, and wide open spaces with a mission to build a healthy community around nature. Take part in the Milliken Reserve community with a Conservancy membership. Learn more at millikenreserve.com. And Pumpkin Palooza this weekend. Aaron, I know this is your favorite time of the year. We'll talk to you next week, my friend.
Pumpkin Palooza, OB Palooza. It was great talking to both of you. Have a great day, guys. Take care.
You too, my friend. Thank you. Aaron Torres on the BCSI hotline. OB, thank you for sticking around an extra 30 minutes.
You're very welcome.
Thank you. That is OB. When we come back, the Gabe Bach, his 4 downs here over the next half hour. You're listening to TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers.
I'm Chelsea for Community Calendar on the Zone. This Saturday, kids ages 8 to 18 can learn about aviation and ride for free at Coulter Airfield. Register online at youngeaglesday.org. The Brazos Valley chapter of the Thin Blue Line Law Enforcement Motorcycle Club is holding their annual bike wash at the Ranch Harley-Davidson this Saturday from 11 to 3. This family-friendly event benefits first responders in the Brazos Valley. The College Station Rotary Club invites you to Pizza with a Purpose, benefiting clothing for kids, this Sunday. Tickets include a pizza for 2 and a bottle of wine from Napa Flats. Find a QR code to purchase tickets on our community calendar at WTAW.com. Every Monday and Thursday at 6, join Zach and Billy at the Tap or listen in here on 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. Get your Aggie football fix with the Bellucci Hour, powered by King Ranch Saddle Shop and brought to you in part by B&B Automotive. I'm Chelsea Reber on The Zone.
If you have a debit card, you're used to spending money. But what if your card actually ended up earning you money? That's not exactly normal, but that's what you can get at A&B. It's called Kasasa Cashback Checking. Don't mind the weird name. What you need to know is that it's a free account with cash rewards. Use your debit card for everyday purchases, and we'll pay you cash back every month. If that doesn't sound like normal banking,